How is everybody doing today? Today. The sun will come out tomorrow. We're on episode number three, three. And you know what? That would make us the three amigos. And amigos forever will be. But you don't remember that movie, do you, Vince? Yes, you
Of
do.
course I do. Do you remember the dance?
Sort of. Sort of.
It's
That. Huh.
huh.
Yeah, there it is. So
Yeah.
I heard a little sooner than I should have. But yes, that is actually a classic. We're gonna have to talk about that movie at some point
How
on
dare
the
you think
show.
that I don't remember that?
I know.
I'm technically older than you.
I'm
Not
sorry.
technically, I'm literally older than you.
No. Technically, you are
That's literally older than you.
not much, but you
Almost
are.
almost a year.
That's right, almost. And what a year it's been. Speaking of years, what a really fucked up year 2020 has been. So, with that being said, with such a shit year, people, you have your heroes. As what was it Chris Jericho said when he made his debut? You're. I was trying to think of a moniker for us. We can't say Y2J because that was his. So your Max to Vince problem is here. Your M2V problem is here, and we're your heroes. We're here to save you from 2020 with this show. And with that being said, I am your lovable, chubby-cheeked, big-headed, very, very faithful host. I go by the name of LAREN Maxar Moore.
I'm the co-host sidekick, Vince Eustace.
And you guys, it's episode 3. And do you know what it's episode 3 of? Vince, do you know? Because I know. It's episode 3 of Popcorn.
And booze.
Woo! We're going to get a clap machine. Or you might have to edit that in at some point where there's some clapping or
I
something.
think I'm gonna edit some crickets. Just like I'm gonna be like just make it look like that Trump rally at where the
Right.
dude's doing Bruno Mars, where it's like, hey, pump uptown, pump you up. Hey, yeah, I like that. We'll do that.
I really love those videos that people edit together where it's just voiceover of just awkward sound effects and crickets and basically signifying that this thing that looks like it's popping really wasn't.
Yep, that's us.
Those are great. That's going to be us. All right, you guys. Yeah. Popcorn and Booze. You guys already know we're at the 3rd episode. It is a show about tackling pop culture and wrestling and movies. And maybe we need to start talking about cooking at some point because, I make a pretty good lasagna. So let's talk about that one episode. Or just do a whole segment on cooking. And Vince, you look like you're a great cook.
Yeah, looks can be deceiving then because I'm not.
Well, I'm sure your wife is a good cook.
She actually is. She's a fantastic cook.
Yay! Leave it to a woman to save the day because men suck. All right. Well, what do we got? What are we starting off with today, man? Let's get right into it.
I don't want to say that like what you said wasn't true. Like women are great, men suck. But there is at least one woman I can think of who sucks.
Ooh.
Don't know her name, but you saw the video.
Yes.
It went viral of this white woman who pulled a gun on a black mother and her daughter.
Another goddamn Karen. Damn it.
So Karen, yeah, let's call her Karen.
We'll just call her Karen. That's what she is.
Karen and was it her husband or boyfriend or father? I don't know who it was. But
he looked like her father.
Yeah.
But apparently that was her husband. Wow.
Oh, so you were saying like the update of the story is they just got arrested. But
yeah.
So I like fill me in. No, don't fill me in. But like if I'm getting something wrong, let me know. They were all at, I don't know if it was Chipotle or something.
It might have been a Chipotle, I think it was, yeah.
And so apparently Karen bumped into the daughter who's about 15 years old.
Yeah.
And didn't say excuse me or sorry or anything, just bumped into her and kept going. So then the mother, getting very protective mama bear mode, and was like, why did you bump my daughter? And like not say anything about it. It was seemed aggressive. And she was like, no, I didn't mean anything by it. And then people started bringing out their phones to record it, and the mother and Karen started going at it. Karen seemed a little, I'll admit, like a little kind of like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want any trouble, blah, blah, blah. And then they got in the car, tried to drive away. She was like, "Oh, I'm not racist." And then I guess they accidentally hit.
Because that's what you say as you're running away from black people. By the way, I'm not racist.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Then this is where it gets a little muddy. Like I guess some contact was made between the mother and the car at that point.
Yeah.
The mother was saying that the car kind of hit her. The people in the car were saying that she jumped in front. But then at that point, that's when Karen jumped out of the car, like James McAvoy wanted, guns drawn, and was just
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So.
Oh God.
But now apparently they're arrested or charged, or what happened there?
Yeah, they picked their asses up because despite how they felt, especially the Karen, I guess they said they felt their life was in jeopardy or being threatened, which I don't know about all that. I don't know. I mean, I've seen the entire video, and you listen. As an African American, obviously, I understand what goes on in the world, and a lot of things usually revolve when it comes into a lot of altercations between, especially in certain towns, certain cities. When not always, but a lot of altercations do happen between white and black people that are relatively racially motivated. There's always some type of fear of black people, and like I always quote something that Ari Spears, the comedian, made a point of saying, like, it's just this whole ideology of black people are scary. Ooh, ooh. I guess that's where they got the term spooks from, because black people are scary. That is just the most ridiculous ideology ever. To be honest with you, if you think about it, black people are very relatively peaceful people. We search for equality. We don't really want any problems. It just, when problems come to us and we react, to it a certain way. It might be a lot aggressive. It could be aggressive. It seems to fall back on us that we're the ones starting, and it's like, no, we're sick of the shit. So when we do get upset, we really lash out. Now, with that being said, Vince and our viewers, black people, I feel as a culture, we do need to start picking and choosing our battles, because here's the thing: when we react to certain things, when we feel it's something that's being unjust to us, we do get a bit defensive. And you can't, unfortunately, be that way with certain white people, because you have Karens and Kins, like this stupid bitch, that want to take it to a whole nother level. We have to learn to just say, you know what? Have a nice day. Go on about your nice, peaceful white day. You obviously are, you obviously think your privilege rules all. Sometimes you just got to accept that, because it just keeps you out of trouble, and it keeps lives from being taken. Listen, they were laying into these people. They were, if you watch the whole video, they were cussing them out. But it's like, that's how black people, that's how we are. We got that urban way about ourselves, and if we feel, especially if, when it's done to us from a white party, we seem to want to defend ourselves. And I just think they were really disgruntled about how that couple handled bumping into their child. And if you watch the video, the couple is slightly dismissive. And then one of the things I believe the man says, which is just something you never say ever to anybody African American at any point, and I don't know why that term seems to come out sometimes, but I think I think at one point he said something to the degree of, "What is wrong with you people?" And that just fired something to the effect of, "What's wrong with you people?" or "What's wrong?" When you use that, the context is always going to be taken as, "What's wrong with you black people?" Like, why are you people like this? So they felt threatened, and at no point were they touched. These black folks didn't touch them. They didn't put hands on them. They didn't destroy their property. And like you said, they were driving off, and this woman got back out of the truck they were in, or I think it was like an SUV, and pulled her service. It wasn't even a service weapon, because she's not a service person. She's not an officer of the law or anything, so it wasn't a service pistol. She just had a right to carry, and felt that was the time to pull out her gun and intimidate these people. And now she has been arrested and charged. I don't know what the actual charge is. I have to read up on it, but rightfully so. There's no reason to be doing that. Why are you pulling out a gun? There were multiple people in the comments section that were saying, the same thing I was saying. You know how many people have been cussed out in the world or have gotten into physical, but even verbal altercations and did not pull out a gun. So that's your that's your that's your response, and that's your not just retaliation, but that's your solution. Everything. The minute you get scared, oh God, I'm gonna pull out my gun. Like she could have killed these people, and all for what? An argument, you know? So unnecessary. And again, black people, we do need to start picking and choosing our battles. You know, it's true. It might not seem like it, but not every white person is racist. I know one white person that isn't, and that's my lovely co-host. He does have a racist bone in his body.
Hey, it's not.
You know, I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but then again, you might not have bones in your body. You could be some magical being that walks around on flesh, muscle, and blood. I don't know, Vince. I don't know. You're an alien. But the point is, we have to pick and choose our battles. This woman had no right in the end to be pulling out a gun, though. That's unnecessary. I don't really know your opinion on that actual. You explain the story, but I don't know your opinion on. Do you feel it was necessary for her to retaliate in that manner?
Nope.
Some people do. Some people do. You know.
No, not at all. Like she could have just kept driving, or just she wasn't even driving. Like she was in the car, just like her husband was driving. They could have just kept going. Just like you were gone. You guys were gone. Just keep going.
Just get out of there.
And doubling back. That's not self-defense. When you double back, it's not self-defense. It's like, all right, like she wasn't blocking them from going anywhere. It was like you had a straight shot. You're gone. Get away from the situation. You didn't.
I agree.
You got out of the car with a gun, so no.
And what kind of man is her husband? You're letting your wife fight like your wife had to be the one to jump out and pull out a pistol? Like, be a man, bro. Like, stand up as a man and be like, look, stop it. We're driving away. Like, he just seemed like just a big pussy and just let his wife handle the situation. She handled it poorly. But it's like, what kind of man is he? Oh, God, these people, these Karens and these Kens need to go somewhere. Go to an island where there's just a bunch of Kens and Karens just sitting around calling the police on each other because there will be no black people to call the police on. So they have to call the police on each other. That's just basically what's going to have to happen. So send them away to an island. That's what I say. All right. So enough about Karen with the gun. Let's move on to our next topic. And what are we talking about, Mr. Vince?
All right, we're moving into pop culture. First thing we're going to talk about is something that's near and dear to both our hearts, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Heroes in a Half Shell, Turtle Power.
I'm very glad that you went with Heroes in a Half Shell because I feel it's very popular to mistake it with Turtles in a Half Shell, which is absolutely not accurate. It's not Turtles in a Half Shell, Heroes in a Half Shell. I'm glad you got it right.
That's right. That's right.
So the story going around the biz, as we call it because we're in it, is that the Ninja Turtles are going to be rebooted on the big screen. Seth Rogen's company is going to be part of it. Oh, you don't like Seth Rogen? You don't like Seth Rogen?
I'm tired of the reboots of Ninja Turtles, but continue. It's just, oh God. I don't know.
I'm happy that they're doing Ninja Turtles. Like,
yes, you are.
I get, like, it's like, I think it's weird. Ninja Turtles has kind of become what Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes were when we were kids. Because you mentioned this the other day, we were kind of just going over like stories. Ninja Turtles has been around for the majority of our lives.
Yes, yes, it has.
And they've been huge for the majority of our lives. Yes. So,
facts.
like a friend of mine, his son got into Ninja Turtles. And so I think it's going to be one of those things where Ninja Turtles are just always going to be rebooted or be a different, like, not new take, but just sort of like a fresh, like new episodes of something of Ninja Turtles, just because it's got staying power. Like it nostalgic wise, like we still love it. Kids are always going to love it. It just, they make a ton of money off of it.
No, totally. And it like you said, it is topical enough and it's timeless enough to where they could always do something with it. I don't necessarily think they have to do something with it every few years, but why not? It's got staying power, so they got to keep it alive. When I first read the article, and I think I told you this, when I first read the article, that was my reaction. I was just like, ugh. And then when I read further into the article and realized it was going to be an animated CGI version, I was like, I went even deeper, and I was just like, oh, I'm really not looking forward to that. I don't know if you were a fan. They did an animated. I don't know if it was it CG. I think it was it the CG version that won in 2007.
The movie, yeah.
It was a CG. I think that was a CG animated version as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who helmed that. I think it was, I guess, Nickelodeon Studios is kind of taking that, and Paramount. But I wasn't really a big fan of that. I was just, listen, I am a huge fan of live action versions and incarnations of things, and I feel if they're going to reboot it, I want to see another live action. The rebooted ones that Michael Bay did with Platinum, I think it was Platinum Dunes, was okay. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I remember me and an ex went to go see the very first one. Funny story about that. We went to go see it in 3D, and this was 2014. We went to go see it in 3D. It was a packed theater the night we went, and literally the only seats that were available, because I think the theater we went to wasn't assigned seating. The only seats that were available were literally the front row. So it's this packed theater. We're sitting in the front row, and the movie's in 3D. So it was the most overwhelming experience in the history. I was like, oh my God, we are way too fucking close, and this is horrible. Like, I thought I was going to die. Like, it was just, and the shit was just flying at us. It's just like, why did we sit in the front row? Because there's nowhere else to sit. So that was just a little funny little side story when I went to go see that. The second one, I think I just saw on demand or on DVD or Blu-ray or something. And I enjoyed it because, and actually I think it did a little bit better than that first rebooted one. I enjoyed it because it had the introduction of Bebop and Rocksteady.
Mm-hmm.
Crag, is it Crag or Krang? Krang, the little fleshy brain thing that's in the big robotic suit.
Yeah.
They introduced his character, which I thought was pretty awesome. And the Technodrome, which is the kind of headquarters on wheels that Craig...
It's like the Death Star and Epcot on wheels.
It basically, they talk about that, and the fact that he comes from, is it what is the Dimension X? Is Dimension X? Isn't it?
Yeah, Dimension X.
So
DX.
I appreciate. Yeah, do. Not that DX, people. That's later for the wrestling segment. That's not that DX. But they bring up all these real cool things I remember from the cartoon. So I enjoyed that, and a surprise little twist. A spoiler alert for those who have not seen this movie. That at this point I believe is 4 or 5 years old. Shouldn't have to say that, but I'll say it anyway. Spoiler alert. Turn this shit off now if you don't want to know what happens at the end of Out of the Shadows. But they do the actual animated theme at the very end during the credits. It does the Teenage Mutant, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They did it a throwback. What I think they should do, Vince, in this new one is bring back, and this is actually a person we're going to be talking about this episode. They need to bring back Vanilla Ice's Go Ninja rap in this next movie. It's got to be during the credits. They got to play that. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go, go, go. It's my opinion. What do you think? Did you?
I think I'll reserve my Vanilla Ice opinions, including Ninja Rap, for later in the show. It's weird. So, like, I think, like you, like, I enjoyed, like, the newer iterations of Ninja Turtles, but it's, like, we still go back to, like, the 80s cartoon and the 90s movies. It's like, oh, that's really what it was. That's how it needs to be. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, yes, the original Ninja Turtles comic was supposed to be kind of a little darker and like sort of like almost R-rated in terms of like violence and in terms of like sort of like the blood and everything. But Ninja Turtles, as far as everyone else knows it, has made all this money being a kid's show and being basically, like a kid's property. So yes, I would love if Ninja Turtles went real dark and did like sort of even like an Avengers Endgame type of dark, where there's like lightness to it, but also dark and kind of scary and like have some real like heavy themes to it. But in all honesty, they're never going to do that because their main target are the little kids, and they can't. Because I remember the first Ninja Turtle movie that we all kind of, especially our age group, agrees is the best one. Kind of was controversial when it came out because like, oh,
it was pretty dark.
Yeah, it was dark.
It was fairly dark.
Cursing. It was. So I don't think they'll ever go back to that, which kind of pisses off a lot of fanboys of the comics. And as we get older, we're like, that'd be really cool to see, but it's never going to happen. So whenever the news of new Ninja Turtles comes out, I take with a grain of salt, just because I know it's not for me. It's going to be for kids who are still in elementary school. So if there's something I'm like, I'm not sure I really like they're going in this direction. Like, I don't want it to be CGI and animated. I want it to be live action. Like, well, kids like CGI animation, so it's going to be for them. I think with Seth Rogen being involved, hopefully they're saying also with his producer friends, they mentioned in the article that like their humor hopefully can sort of influence the series or the movie at least a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to be like Sausage Party and they just going to go like full raunchy. But
God, I really hope it definitely is not like Sausage Party, especially.
But I think,
listen, the new Ninja Turtles movie does not need to end in a big turtle orgy. Let's just. Sausage Party was so fucking weird. Yeah, but yeah, please, nothing like that. That's.
Yeah, I think that it could. I think with Seth Rogen and his producing buddies, they could actually like put enough humor in it where it's like, okay, like getting back to Looney Tunes, where it's like kind of for the kids, but there might be some humor that's like kind of goes over their heads and be like, oh, as an adult, I got that, and that's funny, and I get that reference. So, haha, it's for everyone.
No, I agree, man. There are some. The very first 1990 movie they did was very adult themed. It really was, and I enjoyed it. Another quick story on a side note. So when House Party came out that same year. This was 1990, and I remember being, oh God, I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. I was so young. I remember my mom and her friend taking me and not taking us, but we went with them to go see House Party. Now, as a young kid, it did not register to me that when they would promote movies, some of them were for coming attractions, coming soon. So as we're walking into the theater, I'll never forget this, and I think this was back. I was still back east in New York. I remember seeing a promotional poster for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. And I remember I kept telling my mom, let's go see that. Let's go see that. And she was like, it's not out yet. And I think it had the date it was coming out and everything. And I was just such a young kid. But I was just like, I want to see that. The point is I was not excited to go see House Party. Sorry, Kid and Play. Kid is actually a really good friend of mine. I have not talked to him in a while. But I actually told him this story, and he was not offended, Vince. But as a little kid, I wanted to see Ninja Turtles. I didn't want to see House Party. Even though House Party is a classic. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point.
Something you appreciate when you get a little older.
It is. Listen, kudos to Seth Rogen. He kind of makes things golden when he touches it. He does. He's a funny enough comic and writer, and I think they'll probably do a good job. I'm just not very excited to see it personally because of the animated aspect of it. And just here we go, another TMNT movie.
Yeah.
But more power to him, and I wish him the best of luck, and I will check it out. And Vince, you're a huge TMNT fan. I'm sure you'll be the first, once the pandemic goes away, you'll be the first in line to go.
Hell yeah, Team Donatello.
That's right. Who was the geek of the group? The geek.
He was the smart one. He wasn't a geek. He was just very intelligent.
He was a damn geek.
He was not a geek. He was very cool. He had a lot of great lines in the first movie and the cartoon series.
Oh, my God.
All right. So moving on to, I guess we're still in the pop culture, but it kind of blends into music as well. Some big news kind of, I'm not sure it's news as it is gossip or news, but it's still, everyone was talking about it last week. Jada Pinkett-Smith is obviously married to Will Smith. There's been rumors for years that they've had an open marriage, that they're kind of have permission to sort of sleep with other people.
Swingers.
Swing
they're
has been that
swingers,
rumor.
yeah.
So singer August Alsina, who's been very close with the Smith family for years now.
You couldn't even say his name with a straight face.
I actually had to look up an interview to see like how to pronounce it. I didn't want to mess it up. But he was, I think, being interviewed by Angela Yee, and it came out that he had an affair, an affair relationship with Jada Pinkett-Smith. Not only that, but also he sat down with Will Smith and talked to him. And according to August, Will Smith was fine with it, gave his blessing. Now, of course, the flip side of that is now that news is out, Jada Pinkett-Smith is denying it. I think everyone from like the Smith-Pinkett or the Pinkett-Smith camp is saying it's not true. August Alsina is doubling down on it. I think even Tisha Campbell sort of got in the middle of by accident by kind of she said something that everyone thought was her confirming it. And she's like, no, I didn't. So it's been this one big juicy gossipy mess.
And you know what August Alsina said to Tisha Campbell when she chimed in? He was like, damn, Gina. He should have said that. Well, wow. This, man, I don't even know where to begin with this. I've been wanting to talk about this for the longest time. Listen, the rumors have, I mean, for 20 years, since I was a kid, I've been hearing that Jada and Will ain't nothing but some damn freaks, that they really like to get it in. And that very well could be true and not true. I don't know. I don't hang with these people. I'm not in the circle, nor have I been famous the past 20 years. So I'm not in that circle of the industry or the biz, as you said we call it, that would know that knowledge firsthand. Do I think August Alsina is trying to get some notoriety? Yeah, it's kind of obvious. It's like, where the hell has he been? He was hot. I mean, he hasn't been hot for at least, as far as having singles on the radio that were pumping, videos, interview. Like I haven't heard from August Alsina in like 4 or 5 years. Like I think like 2013 and 2014 were like his years or something like that.
Well, Nunya's probably going to chart if it hasn't already, because that's the song that everyone's saying was about Jada. And if you look at the lyrics, it kind of like lines up. And so that's gotten a surge in popularity as of late.
So, yeah. So there you go. I mean, I'm not saying that was the sole reason he did it, but obviously it's publicity. Listen, not all publicity is good publicity, but all publicity is good publicity. I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't have to
I think if we listen to the last part you said,
yeah,
like, all right, that works.
Yeah, that's why I had to tack on that last little piece. It's not all good publicity. Not all publicity is good, but all publicity is good.
That's some Yogi Berra type wisdom.
Hey, let's
no,
get
the Yankee player.
Oh God, right?
Yeah.
I'm an old man. See, when you say anything like that, I'm gonna assume fucking Yogi the Bear. But no, I don't even think. Listen, I'll tell you what. If that is true, Will Smith is never loaning his wife to another young motherfucker like that again. He is like, you loudmouth snitching son of a bitch. I give you my wife, and this is how you repay me. You tell on us. You tell on me. So if that is true, that is probably the last time Will Smith is doing that shit. I just don't think it was necessary for him to even bring that up. What are you bringing that up for? Especially now. I know it happened, a few years ago, I think it was? Or when did this actually...
I'm not sure what the timeline was, but I think it was this past decade.
They're being vague about it. They are, and I know why. It's because it might have happened, and they're kind of like, and as a result, Jada Pinkett, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do. She has her own show called Red Table Talk. Mm-hmm. It's a show with her mother, and her daughter, Willow. And they just talk about same thing that we talk about, political issues, pop culture, from a black woman's perspective. And apparently, I don't know if the episode's happened yet, or it's going to happen, but apparently she's going to address this whole August Alsina thing on her show, that they're deeming Jada interviews Jada. See how clever that was? She's going to be sitting across the table from herself, interrogating herself about these accusations, which she has full-fledged denied. She's saying that didn't happen.
Should get a lot of views whenever it drops.
It is, and she knows that. And whether it's true or not, she knows she has to address it. That's not just something. We live in an age now, especially with social media, when accusations start floating around, they make the rounds. And usually the people that are making the accusations, especially if they're getting notoriety, especially if they're getting attention, they usually don't stop. So August Alsina was going to push this narrative until somebody paid attention to it, and it just so happens a lot of people have. So she now has to address it now because he's not letting up. And again, if that did happen, August, shut the hell up and enjoy it. You got to bone Jada Pinkett. All the people, I wouldn't want to bone her now. She's not really all that attractive to me now. She's gotten way too much work.
I think she's still very attractive now.
Too much surgery and work. She's not hideous. I'm not going to sit there and say that. She's still a good-looking woman, but too much work has been done. My favorite version of Jada, I say this like she's an iPhone. Like my favorite, yeah, I like iPhone 4 Jada. You know, no, when she was in the '90s, she was a knockout, dude. Set It Off, Jada Pinkett. Low Down Dirty Shame, Jada Pinkett, the movie she did with Keenan.
Woo.
Yeah, Woo. That was the hottest version of Jada to me. And also know she's a lot older, so she's probably in her 50s now, 40s, probably late 40s. Her and Will are relatively about the same age. And listen, if August got to hit that, listen, Vass in it, but don't be telling, because now you've ruined it. You've ruined it for everybody now. Now one day I might want to become famous and ask Will Smith, hey, you mind if I tap Jada once or twice? And this nigga's going to tell me no, for sure, because of you, August, because you don't know how to keep your mouth shut.
And also because Will is an avid watcher of our show, and he's going to remember that you said that you did not find his wife attractive.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have said that. Should not have said that.
Well, speaking of things that people should not have said, Kanye West has said something that, man, I wish he hadn't said. And that's...
Oh, excuse me, Vince. I'm gonna let you finish, but I just want to say that LAREN Moore had the greatest interview of all time. I'm gonna let you finish though, because you're talking about sorry, that's what Kanye did to Taylor Swift. Don't you remember?
Oh, I remember.
Lighten up, man. Lighten up.
I actually defended.
You ain't got the answers, Vince. You ain't got the answers.
I was a staunch Kanye defender for many, many years, but it's been very hard as of late. Kanye, if you unless you've been living under a rock, everyone knows Kanye announced on 4th of July that he is running for president. Never mind the fact that I think at least 6 states he can't get on their ballots because it's too late. Which led to a lot of late registration jokes I actually kind of found funny.
Wow. Bam. There you go, pop culture. Late registration. Yeah, I like that.
Elon Musk is apparently very into this Kanye presidency. I think 2 Chainz even said that he would vote for him. It's interesting because Kanye, past couple of years, his identity has been he's a Trump supporter. He's a red MAGA hat wearing Trump supporter. He's gone visit him in the office.
Stupid
friends
man.
Is cool with him. So it's interesting now that he's technically running against his friend Donald Trump. But there are a lot of people who are saying, I'm sure you'll get into this also, that he's doing this as sort of a way to trip up the Democratic nominee, who will more than likely be Joe Biden, whereby siphoning votes away from them in order to help his buddy Donald Trump win the re-election. So I don't know your thoughts on the presidency. I know your thoughts on the presidency and Kanye, but let's hear everyone else here.
Kanye needs to sit the fuck down, all the way down, and just not get up for a while. I am a huge fan of that man's music, his musical genius, his ideology of music, everything he has accomplished musically, with the exception of a few things. Because like most people, I wasn't a fan of that whole Yeezus. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking when he did that album, but I get it. He wanted to free his mind because you people had him marginalized and trapped in this bubble, and he feels he's a modern day Walt Disney and all this crazy talk he does. But his political views are they're abhorrent. I'm sorry. I don't know where he gets this. I don't know where he gets this ideology of, even the stuff he said about slavery it's a choice. To me, him and Lil Wayne, somebody need to walk up to both these dudes and be like, y'all niggas are stupid, and just sit down. You are 2 wastes of black skin when it comes to that. When it comes to political issues, Wayne is the same way. Whenever Black Lives Matter is brought up, he's just Mr. I don't know nothing. They just love to wash their hands with cultural, historical facts about the way African Americans are treated in this fucking country. they're so dismissive of it. And Kanye just makes excuses. He makes excuses for Donald Trump. And when people interrogate his ass about it and drill him about it, his answer is, I just want to be a free thinker. No, that's not free thinking. That's stupidity, my friend. That's ignorance. And as a black man, you really should be ashamed of yourself for not only supporting Trump, but now running for presidency. And like you said, this is all kind of a ploy just to kind of divide, like you said, the black votes and do all that just so he can get Donald Trump probably another 4 years. I mean, I don't know. It's silly.
Do you think it'll work though? Because I mean, like you said, like I think your opinion on Kanye, from my experience talking to like some of my black friends or just seeing stuff online, like Black Twitter, is sort of in line with yours, where just a lot of black people really aren't about Kanye and haven't been for the past few years. So I'm not sure they would vote for him anyway.
No, it's not gonna happen. He's the most delusional, narcissistic man I have never met, but have grown up on. And you're absolutely right. Black people are sick of him. It's like they're sick of Lil Wayne and the fact that they just do not stand up for what is right as black men and black leaders at this point, because these guys are really famous. They're really rich. Black people have made both these men a lot of money. And of course, because of percentages, white people have made these men even more money. But that's here nor there. That does not excuse the fact that these are men who are just very dismissive of the nature of race relations these days when it comes to their people. And if he thinks for one iota a bunch of black people are going to run to the ballot office to vote for him, he's insane. It's insane. It's borderline insanity. Is what Kim West.
I'm gonna go on record with a piping hot take that I really don't believe, but I figure if for some reason I'm right, we can go back to this and be like, I said it first.
Okay.
I think
don't hurt yourself.
What if Kanye has been kind of like a secret double agent all this time, where he really wasn't about Trump? He's still the same Kanye who was like, George Bush doesn't care about black people, and he is using this to get into, like, he knows that Trump is a narcissist, and it's like, oh, if I like talk him up, I get to meet with him, and then he plans to expose him on this sort of campaign trail. Now, there's a lot of holes in this theory, more holes than actual substance, which is one, like, why, like in terms of Kanye's behavior, even prior to Trump's presidency, doesn't fall in line with this.
Vince, I will say that your theory is very spiritual because it's holy.
Lift yourself up. Yeah. So, I mean, I would, if that happened, I would like, what if we got old Kanye back and he was like just pulling the wool over everyone's eyes? But at the
Donald
same time,
Trump doesn't like black people.
But now I don't think that would work because, like, Trump's been exposed so many times. Like, literally every single day he's exposed. And his supporters don't care because they don't believe it. They're just like, oh, this is fake news. So if Kanye came out and was like, oh, everyone who loved me and thought I was a free thinker, well, guess what? Like, Trump is terrible. Like, I've known this all along and I've got receipts for it. Trump supporters are just going to turn on Kanye and still vote for Trump. So it wouldn't work out even if that were a thing. But again, putting on record just in case it's happened.
Yeah. Well, Vince, I would say your theory is much like that song that came out years ago. You're the king of wishful thinking.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm the king of wishful thinking. I can't get over you. Dun, 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 dun. I do not know the song, but I know the melody because I'm the king of wishful thinking. Yeah, that's you. That's you. You're that song. Wishful thinker.
All I heard was, I'm a king.
Hey. and as you should, good sir. You know what? That is an interesting theory. And I guess in hindsight, that would be great. That that the whole time that Kanye West was nothing more than a mole. Mole, bloody mole. He's the bloody mole. You know, he's Mr. Plant. He's a plant. This has all been a ruse to get Donald Trump out of office, not a longer term. You know what? Let's pray for it. Let's pray on it, and let's just see what happens. In the meantime, Kanye West, to you, sit your dumb ass down and get your life together ASAP. Because you have a lot of fans still, but you're slowly but surely going to lose all of those with your stupidity and your Trump-supporting ridiculous slavery was a choice ways. Get it together, man. Get it together.
I agree, and don't call me Shirley.
Airplane reference.
So moving on from, I guess, someone that we consider to be a musical genius in the realm of music and hip hop, and there's no way to segue this. Vanilla Ice is making news.
Remember in that interview, he was like, "No, it's different. My song goes doom 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 doom. His goes doom doom doom. Motherfucker, it's the same shit.
It's the exact same." And he admitted later, he was like,
"So talk to us."
So
about Vanilla Ice.
While the rest of us,
baby,
like COVID-19 cases are spiking all over the place. You know, there's a lot of people who think it's all a ploy, and we talked about this with the masks and the sickness numbers and the death numbers that a lot of people think are not accurate. But 4th of July weekend, everyone was advised, and a lot of states were like, no, we need to shut everything down. This is like, beaches here were closed, restaurants started closing down again. Vanilla Ice was having a concert, I believe in Texas, and he was very excited about it. I mean, he only has a lot of work options right now, so why wouldn't he? And
him and Ja Rule need to start a group together. The has-beens. The has-beens.
That is a concert that I can't wait to not go to.
Oh my God.
But he, like, yeah, you saw his interview where he was talking about, like, because he's very much into that, like, 90s nostalgia, as are we, where it's like, yeah, like 90s, like, was so much better. You had like Ninja Turtles, and you had, I don't know, Pokemon, and he was like, and you didn't have coronavirus. And I know he was trying to say like, oh yeah, like back then was better than now because now sucks. But it kind of came off a little tone deaf. And the fact that he was going on with this concert, and I saw on Twitter, everyone was like making a lot of jokes, being like, God, imagine if you got coronavirus and died because you went to a Vanilla Ice concert, and that's gotta be the worst way to die. That
is a fiery death.
Now, he did cancel.
At best.
The concert was canceled. I don't know if it was because of COVID concerns or because he had sold less than 300 tickets to the concert. Probably a combination of both. They're like, all right, it's not really worth doing, and the optics of us doing it don't look great.
Yeah, that was it. I'm sure that was completely it. They were like, motherfucker, you haven't sold nothing. Nobody wants to see your ninja rap ass. Listen, it made for a really good, like you said, a really good joke and a really good laugh for me, which is why I vied for this this story for us to talk about it, because just. Again, I know what he meant. He was just saying, I want to do a concert that takes you back to better times, more fun times, the 90s. But that is just, that's a really ignorant statement. I'm going to throw this concert because, well, 25 years ago, there was no COVID-19. It's like, no fucking kidding, Robert Van Winkle. That's his real name, by the way. Reminds me of that Jim Carrey sketch on A Living Color.
Nothing rhymes with Winkle.
Right? Oh my God, I'm white and I'm capitalizing something to some other sex. Mix it with Larry and Curly and Mo. Whoop, 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 yo! Like that was a true perception of what Vanilla Ice was back then. Still to this day, I don't think I knew anybody back then or now or ever that owned a Vanilla Ice album. I don't know anybody. I've never seen Ice Ice Baby, or what was the album? I think his first album was called
To the Extreme.
To the Extreme, that's right. I remember that ridiculous movie he did. Remember that movie?
Cool as Ice.
Cool
oh
as
my God.
Ice.
I love
Trash.
hate that movie. Like
Oh my
it's
god.
so bad, but it's so enjoyable watching it. Just like make fun of it.
And the movie's got a huge like cult following. Like he was popular during that time, so I'm sure some people flocked to the theaters. Look, Vanilla Ice, much like a lot of people we're going to be discussing in this episode or have discussed, is he's a delusional man. He's just very delusional, and that was just nothing. There's nothing intelligent about that statement. Oh, there was no COVID in the '90s. Yeah, and I wish there was no Vanilla Ice in the '90s either. Since we want to get technical, but I will say he contributed to something we spoke about earlier in this episode. He, by far, I don't know if you can agree with this. This is how I feel. He contributed to one of the greatest themes for a movie ever with Go Ninja, Go Ninja Go, the ninja rap from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. He even made a cameo in the movie dancing at the end of the club when Toka and Razar are in the club and they happen to just, which was random, they bust, the turtles bust through the door and there just happens to be a Vanilla Ice concert going on. And all of a sudden, just on the spot, he's like, hey, I'm going to freestyle a theme about these 4 turtles that are in my club. And I'm going to call it, because that's how they wrote the script. They made it seem like he just thought of it on the spot. Like the turtles and Toka and Razar bust into
And the DJ also came up with it on the spot.
He also had the beat
and the
ready.
Dancers all came up with it as well.
That's how they played it off. But fair enough. It was a kids movie. They had to make it fun. But that's how they played it off in the field. It was just like, oh, turtles. Ooh, that's a cool beat. I got a song. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Like, what the hell? What has Vanilla Ice ever done?
So,
what has he ever done?
In regards to the ninja rap, like as a kid, obviously I loved those movies. And when that happened, I wasn't a huge Vanilla Ice fan. I was more into MC Hammer than Vanilla Ice. Not that that's something to brag about. But
those two actually had a beef.
I know, I remember.
They were 2 very pop-esque rappers, and they were going head-to-head.
So when Vanilla Ice was doing ninja rap in the movie, I loved it. And even like when I rewatched the movie like in college, I loved the ninja rap. At least the beginning. I love like the how it kicked off. It's like the bam, 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 bam. And I just thought that was like a really cool beat. And then I remember like going on to Kazaa or LimeWire, whatever I had at the time, to look up the ninja rap. And whatever they released as the actual ninja rap song was the same song, but it wasn't exactly how it was in the movie. And I remember being like, oh, I don't like this version as much as the one that I heard in the movie.
It was the soundtrack. It was the soundtrack version. That's why.
It was like just the way it kicked off was like a little different. It like sort of like slowly built where the official single like went right into it. And then obviously as like you get older, you're just like, this is not a good song. It's not good music. It's not anything that I think is, again, it's nostalgia. It's everything with nostalgic glasses that we're like, oh, this was great back then, but like, man, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't, like, I can't, if I ever have kids or grandkids, I can't like play it for them and be like, oh, this was music back in the day. It's just not that.
That's a shame, Vince. I beg to differ. I was bumping that shit in my car just last night.
Wow.
Yeah. I know the dance and everything. I fucking thought it was great. I think that's a great song. I love the beat. It's Vanilla Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Ice. Baby. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Yeah. Listen, that was an iconic scene in that movie. And I'm so sorry it did not hold up for you time-wise. It didn't. It aged well for me. I get chills now when I hear that. Dun, 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 dun. That beat kicks. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know why you get chills? Because it's ice.
Hey! I gotta hit you with the bad boys. The Bad Boys 2. When Will and Martin are like, Good job, sir. So, with that being said, why don't we move along and,
so that recaps.
Get off this topic of the has-been guy, the has-been rapper. That's Vanilla Ice ain't popping now. You know what's funny? I stumbled across this. There's a song that came out literally not that long ago. It's got Rick Ross on it and Vanilla Ice. And you know what? I hate that I actually kind of enjoyed that track. I was like,
well,
okay. Vanilla,
the
his verse was actually not that bad. Vanilla Ice was kind of rapping.
the Ice Baby sample flip was actually pretty cool.
Yep.
I thought the other guy and Rick Ross. I'm not a huge Rick Ross fan either, but I thought that they had like decent verses. And Vanilla Ice wasn't too bad, but it was like Vanilla Ice. It was like how he normally raps.
The beat was kicking though, dude. I was like, all right, Vanilla Ice. This was, I think the song came out like 2014 or 2015 or something like that. But it's like Vanilla Ice trying to trapping Vanilla Ice. All right, let's get it. Let's get it.
Bad.
All right. So what are we on to now, my good friend, my good co-host?
Now we're on to the wrasslin portion.
You know, this is my favorite part, Vince. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Do you really want to know why? Well,
why?
I'll just let you listen. Why? Oh God, I love this. Here we go. Hey, it's the wrestling segment with me and Vince. I won't talk about the sex tape because Vince will get pissed.
I will.
But let's talk about the sex tape. God, with Sean Waltman.
Why would you do that?
Kinda had it did. China was in it.
No.
And so was Sean Waltman.
No.
They had lots of sex. They had sex. You know why? Because it was a sex tape. Yay! Oh, God. Listen. Oh, God. You know, Vince, when I think about the joy, the absolute joy it brings me, that sex tape has brought so much joy to your life. It just makes me smile. It just makes me smile because I know I'm willing to bet if I were to go to your house somewhere in your DVD collection, you have Sean Waltman and Jody Lore, aka China. One Night in China, baby.
You are mistaken. And you are also a very disturbed individual.
Hey, I love that sex tape. I thought it was great. Academy Award winning stuff right there, Vince.
I don't think the Academy has a category for that just yet.
They better get to it, because damn it, listen. Hey, that in the Kanye Kim, the Ray J and Kim Kardashian, that needs to be up there, and you can't forget Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee. Listen, make a category in the Academy Awards. Those were fucking great. And beating out all those, One Night in China, baby.
Well, you're just giving out like Oscars to 20-year-old celebrity adult films. Like,
somebody's got to do it.
I disagree. I don't think anyone has to do it.
Vince, you're just a hater. All right, let's talk about. You're just a hater. There's haters in this world. Well, let's talk about wrestling, shall we? Let's get to it.
Yes, let's. So Sting made a bit of a commotion when he tweeted possibly teasing a comeback, despite the fact that he is in advanced age, can't really go like he used to. But a lot of people were a little unsatisfied with his WWE run, the fact that he had a job to Triple H, the fact that he never got the Sting Undertaker match. So he tweeted out like, "Oh, who wants to go for like one last ride?" I think it was a picture of him on a motorcycle, and
one last ride.
And everyone, and that was also a reference to the Undertaker,
his documentary, the last ride. Yeah.
So everyone's going nuts and being like, "Oh, Sting and Undertaker, it's gonna happen." I'll let you say how you feel about the potential of Sting coming back to fight anyone or Undertaker, and then I'll weigh in.
So I'm looking at the article, and he just, it's. I think Sting, much like a lot of wrestlers. So let's talk about the Undertaker real quick. Let's talk about the fact that supposedly he hasn't officially said the word. And I know we covered this on our very first episode of Popcorn and Booze. The Undertaker hasn't necessarily said the words, "I'm retiring," but he has pretty much, he's kind of, he's basically saying, if I were to not wrestle in ring action anymore, I'm okay with that. So, but that leaves a lot to be left open. And with that being said, I think Sting is seeing that and going, well, there's still hope. You know, the point is, I do think the Undertaker's on his way out the door. He needs to be. His body's just so beat up. He's not crazy old, but he's in his 50s. He's up there. And I think Sting's even older than Undertaker. I believe Sting is like in his 60s, his early 60s.
Oh,
I think
wow.
he's got like 10 years on Undertaker or something like that. Listen, these two are in no shape at this point to put on a live in-ring performance or match or whatever you want to call it with each other. Sting is same thing. He's beat up. Matter of fact, I mean, let's talk about his last run in the WWE, which was pretty much he hasn't wrestled since then. He comes back. They do the whole Survivor Series angle where he helps Dolph Ziggler win, which was disappointing because that did absolutely nothing for Dolph Ziggler.
But at the time, it was cool. Like, whenever Sting made an appearance, like, it was nice.
Yeah, but, you know, they did this whole, I don't know if you remember, I think it was Survivor Series 2015. They did this whole thing where, you know, with the help of Sting making this big return, they give Dolph Ziggler this big fucking win, and they just still could not put Dolph Ziggler over. They just still dropped the ball on that. It's ridiculous. I hate when the WWE does things like that. But Sting returns. He does this big thing at Survivor Series, and then they start this program with him and Hunter that lead all the way into WrestleMania. Where, listen, the match itself was pretty good. The real big thing in that match, obviously, was the NWO making an appearance, the very old NWO. And then an appearance by DX, which was the first time that it ever happened. DX and NWO in the same ring. And from a mark standpoint, I totally marked out. I heard the music. You know, when the NWO came out, I heard cue the porno music, man. That's what Scott Hall says whenever he hears that music. Cue the porno music, man. And then you hear the do-do-do-do. I marked out. I lost my mind. Now, what happened during that match was a little funny. One of the funniest things during that match is, so there's a big schmaz outside the ring. They're all wrestling, and then Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, aka the Outsiders, he teases a Razor's Edge. So he kicks Pac, Sean Waltman, your favorite sex tape guy. He kicks him in the gut, and he gets him between his legs, and it looks like he's about to deliver a Razor's Edge. And X-Pac reverses it and backdrops him on his back. And what I tell you, it looked like Scott Hall died. This was Scott Hall wasn't in the greatest shape during this time. He isn't now. But even a few years ago, that was 5 years ago when this happened. He wasn't in the greatest shape. He was literally fresh off of an alcoholic, drug-induced binge that he was getting cleaned up from. So when X-Pac gave him this backdrop, I remember at the time, me and my friends and my ex at the time were basically like a year later, we were like, yeah, Scott Hall's back is still outside that ring. A year later, like he broke his back. It's still there. But that was great. And then what did end up happening? Triple H went over. Sting had the job to Triple H, which nobody liked. And then cut to a few months later, he has that program with Seth Rollins, who was a heel champion at the time. And during the match, they get to the buckle bomb spot. They get to a spot where he doesn't do it anymore. They banned it, apparently. He did it a couple more times after this, but he was literally injuring multiple people with this move. Seth Rollins used to have a move called the buckle bomb, where he would lift you up in a power bomb position, and instead of dropping you on the mat, he would drop you in the corner, in the turnbuckle. He did this to Sting and fucked him up. Sting couldn't even barely finish the match. I think he said his back, his spine went numb. And it pretty much put him out of his action. That was literally his retirement match. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was like Sting's retirement match because he got injured so bad. But it wasn't a great run. It wasn't a great run at all. It was borderline. I don't want to say it was embarrassing. I was glad to see Sting back. But there's so much more they could have done with Sting. And you know what? I know Triple H is the king of burying people, but especially during his reign of terror of the early 2000s. But Triple H he's been on record as being a bit of a ball hog, and by that I mean he's gone on record as wanting all the good shit for himself. And at WrestleMania 31, I believe that's when they had the match. It should have been Sting and Undertaker then, but Triple H wanted to have his moment, and he wanted, he told Vince, "Oh, I think I should be the one that goes against Sting because that's how he talks." Who does a great impression of Triple H? CM Punk, because he sounds just like him, especially during like 2011 when they were having their whole program. But that's how he talks. He kind of talks like this, Vince. I think you should let me have Sting. And he did, and it should have happened then. And if it didn't happen then, if it doesn't happen in the past, it doesn't need to happen now. They are too old. The Undertaker is winding down. His body's beat up. They're not in their prime anymore. And I think it could, even if they were to do it at this stage, I think, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, I think it would be a stinker of a match. I do. I really do. I don't see that doing well. The only way, and my favorite podcaster, Solid Monster, that I always tell you about, he pitched this idea, and I kind of agree. The only way this match will go over well is if they do what they did with the Boneyard match at WrestleMania with AJ. If they give it the cinematic treatment and do this real creepy, I don't know, House of Horrors, creepy graveyard or whatever, because the Sting character, when he became the Crow character, not the original, not the Surfer Boy Sting, but the creepy Crow character that he inherited, it was creepy. So they could take that creepy and of course the Dead Man character, and they could do something very shadowy and creepy and even demonic and horror film-esque if they make it a cinematic thing. And I think personally that would be the only way it works. But for them to get into a ring and actually try to put on a 15-20 minute match, it's going to end up looking like the match with Taker and Goldberg. I think it's just going to be two old men who just can't work the way they used to. And that's my opinion. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Sting. He's legendary. He's very legendary. I have nothing against Sting. I love Sting.
I'll say this before we have to move on to the next story, is that I agree. I don't think he was probably in the physical shape to do it anymore. I think that if they brought him on board as a manager or some sort of GM or someone to work as an on-air talent, because he's always good on the mic, he was always a charismatic presence, that could work. And then he's probably could still throw some punches or from outside the ring if need be. But again, having a full match, I don't see in the cards for him.
No, nor is it necessary. Listen, shout out to Undertaker, legend. Shout out to Sting, legend. But they don't need to be getting in the ring. It's too little, too late. That ship sailed years ago. And during his run when he came back, they should have done something then. But they were booking him in shitty storylines. I don't know. He didn't need to face Triple H, and he really didn't need to have any type of match with Seth Rollins. They could have done more with him, and they didn't, and he got injured. And now here he is sending out not even cryptic tweets, but actual tweets saying, "Hey, Taker, me, how about it?" And people are just like, "Oh my God, that would be great." And then people
he's probably bored like the rest of us.
He's bored, and people are losing their mind like, "Oh my God, that would be great." Meanwhile, me and you were like, "Oh my God, not a good idea because you guys are two broken down old men, and it's going to be like geriatric, not Jurassic Park, geriatric park is what that's going to look like." I'll tell you what though, at the finish of the match should be who can take their blood pressure pills. When they get to the finish, it should be a blood pressure pill match on a pole where the Undertaker or Sting have to climb the ladder or climb the turnbuckle and get to a bottle of prescription blood pressure pills to win the match. That's how I think the finish should be, Vince. So
that sounds like some Vince Russo type of booking.
Yep.
So
moving on
to Jim Ross, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, wrestling announcer of all time, was on his podcast talking about my favorite wrestler of all time, The Rock. And he was talking...
If you smell what The Rock is cooking. I tried to do the eyebrow. Wasn't that great?
I was about to say, anyway. I was looking, I couldn't see it, but everything else
I couldn't really do it.
So he was talking about The Rock, and more specifically, the 2000 pay-per-view King of the Ring.
Yeah.
You recall it was a weird 6-man.
It was like a
tag match,
challenge,
but it was also like everyone. It was like 3-on-3 tag, but everyone was able to get in the ring at the time and fight. And JR mentioned this on the podcast. He was like, it was very weird the way we booked it, and I don't necessarily think it was good. But Rock ended up winning that night. But the reason why JR was talking about it is he said it was around that time that the company started realizing that they weren't going to have The Rock much longer as a full-time wrestler. And if you recall, I know you do, but for other people who were fans at the time, if you recall, 2000 was real. That was The Rock. That was The Rock's year, like late
that was
99
his year, dude.
to all 2000. That's when The Rock became the guy. Austin was out. Triple H was the bad guy, but Rock was the guy who sold tickets. Rock was the main marquee attraction.
He was the man. He was the best of 2000. Yes.
So he got the belt that night, but they already knew because he had just finished filming The Mummy Returns. He'd done Saturday Night Live, which he killed. He just crushed it and had everyone buzzing. So the word around Hollywood was that this guy, and they saw his dailies from Mummy Returns. They'd already, I think, kind of worked out a deal where he was going to be in a spinoff with Scorpion King.
I was actually just about to say, around that time is when they probably had the concept already for the Scorpion King.
Like they were like, oh, we're you're so good in this, we're gonna give you your own movie, and everyone just loved him, and like this guy's so great to work with, he's talented, and so WWE knew that he wasn't going to be there much longer. So at that point, they started kind of trying to figure out long-term plans in terms of like, all right, we'll work around your schedule, you'll film, do this, and then come back and do some things. And so the rest of 2000 was fine. He was still there on a regular basis. It wasn't until probably 2001, after he lost to Austin at WrestleMania, and then the night afterwards, the two-man power trip beat him up, that he went on his first extended time away from the company when he filmed Scorpion King. And then, of course, his times away from the company would become more frequent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to second your notion, 2000 was a big year for The Rock. 2000 was also a big year for Triple H because, like you said, Triple H was the top heel. He was the guy. When he had the championship, The Rock was chasing him for the championship. When The Rock had the championship, Triple H was. It was this. They had a good 8-9 month program that year. From the beginning of the year, probably took close to towards the end of the year when Stone Cold made his big triumphant return. Listen, JR was right about his assessment. So was Vince and anybody who was in the office during that time. They knew. As a fan or as a mark watching that as a teenager, I didn't know. Like I thought it was. I just at that time I remember thinking to myself that The Rock was pretty much doing a Hulk Hogan thing. He was just big enough in the wrestling world to where they were like, and good looking enough to where they were like, hey, let's just put this guy in a movie and maybe a couple movies and see how he does. I didn't know he was going to become the movie star that we know today. I really did not. At no point did I think that I think The Rock was going to become a huge movie star. I knew he was going to do movies. I knew he had a great leading man look because he looked great as a leading man in the wrestling ring, And I used to, I've actually talked about this with women who, had, most teenage girls and women, period, even still to this day, had the biggest crush on The Rock. Any female marks drooled over The Rock, even if you weren't. He was crossover enough to where women just in the world period were like, oh my God, this guy is so hot. And I would have conversations with girls around that time, and even now, that said, if you think about it, there aren't that many good-looking wrestlers. He was one of the very few. There weren't many. He was one of the few wrestlers that actually was handsome, and had a great body. And pause. Let me pause that for a second. I don't want people thinking I'm drooling over The Rock. Although, I mean, yeah, he's a good-looking guy. What can I say? But there weren't many. So he was one of the first to really have a great charming. He had a great gimmick, and he had a great charm, and he was good on the mic. And of course, it was only a matter of time before Hollywood was like, wow, this guy is. Look at the attention he's grasping with these wrestling audiences. If we take him out of that element and put him in a bigger platform like film, and make him look like a superhero. Imagine how people are going to take to him. Because at that point, The Rock was so crossover, even non-wrestling fans knew who he was. That's how big his reach was. And it was just in wrestling. Everybody knew who The Rock was. And then he would do interviews, and like you said, he would do SNL. He was on an episode of That 70s Show. Like, he was making appearances everywhere, so he was blowing up. So Jim Ross was looking at this from a standpoint. He was like, you know what? Fuck, we're probably going to lose this guy soon. And like you said, it wasn't around 2000. 2000, he was still full-time. But the process did start that year because he was the number one guy. And when Stone Cold returned and they finally got their other number one guy back, they at that point, The Rock, they were like, listen, we know what's happening. Go do your thing. And 2001 rolled around.
It's probably where they started pushing guys like Kurt Angle, but near the end of 2000 as well, where they're like, hey, this guy's like really good and can be charismatic, but also would be great in the ring. So let's start pushing guys like him and have him carry the ball.
Yeah, they had to make new baby faces. They had to make new top baby faces, and they started with Kurt. They started with I'm trying to think who else during that time. There weren't many. Jericho, I think they tried to position Jericho.
It was a little slow pushing the ball, but they had a weird thing with Jericho, but eventually they started pushing Jericho.
Yeah, and at one point it was actually pitched heading into WrestleMania, and of course Triple H, Mr. Reign of Terror, shot that idea down, and rightfully so. But I believe it was pitched at one point that before he did, a year later in 2002, when he took some time off, came back, and he got that massive pop Triple H got when he returned in 2002. They lost their mind. It was one of the biggest pops in history. But a year earlier, they were actually going to they were talking about positioning Triple H as the top babyface, and they were going to have him go against Austin. But obviously, Triple H was like, well, no, I don't think, I'm doing my Triple H impression. Well, no, Vince, I don't think that's a good idea, because what might end, because he knew what was going to happen. They weren't about to take that belt off of Austin. So so what would have ended up happening is Triple H probably would have got buried. They would have had a few matches, and Triple H would have been left in the middle of the ocean with nothing to do, and Stone Cold would have been the champion. So Triple H was like, hey, Vince, I think it'll be a better idea if I team up with Stone Cold. We'll be the two-man power trip. I don't know. And it worked out. But that was the actually original idea, and then he scrapped it, and he had a lot of pull during that time because I believe him and Stephanie were like full-on married at that point. So, him and Vince were like thick as thieves. But it's funny, even at the Stone Cold says this in an interview that at the end of the WrestleMania 17 match, when they get to the finish, which is obviously when Stone Cold turns heel, he's wailing into The Rock with that chair. He's beating the shit out of him. And he made a point of saying, and I've heard him say this on his podcast and on different interviews, he was told by Vince, like, hey, watch The Rock's face. Because The Rock was he was off to go film The Scorpion King and a couple other movies, I think. He was heading into The Rundown. Like, all that was in the works that year. Or just at least idea-wise it was. But definitely The Scorpion King. And they were like, he told Stone Cold, when you're laying into him with the chair, he's like, protect his face because he's going to go film. And he did. And then 2001 pretty much was the launching point of The Rock. And by 2002, they released The Scorpion King. I think he didn't do anything again till The Rundown. I believe The Rundown was his next big project after Scorpion King. And that was a year after. So from 2000 to 2003, Jim Ross they were seeing it. They were like, yeah. And then, my God, by 04, 05, The Rock was already, he was doing Walking Tall. He was doing the Tooth Fairy movie.
And now he's got like 5 movies a year as opposed to like 1 every year.
It's incredible because I like I said, at 16 years old, even younger, I didn't think it was going to be a growing pattern. I didn't. But again, it's safe to say Jim Ross was on to something. Yeah, because Jim, look what happened. You guys had every right to be like, oh shit, this guy is blowing up. So, good for him. And I believe we want to cover some of The Rock's career. I believe what's the next thing? I think we're going to talk a little bit about. Do we have time for that?
We're pressed for time, so I'm not sure we can talk about it, but I know someone who can talk about it. It's our good, close, personal friend of the show. Why don't you go get her?
Yes. ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to bring this woman. She's outside waiting right now. Let me go get her. Hey, Whoopi. Oh, hey, hi, Laren, hi. Hey, Whoopi. Oh, come sit down. Come sit down. Guess what? We got a doozy of a topic for you to know. That's so great. Okay, well, let me just get comfortable. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. How's my hair? Hi, Vince. Hey.
Whoopi, hello. Good to see you again.
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Are you excited? We're going to be talking in this in this segment of Whoopi Rants on Wrestling. I'm talking about The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
God. And it's funny. He's such a handsome man. When I think of Dwayne, I have to think about The Rock. They always want to talk about Dwayne Johnson, the actor. But I remember when he was kicking Triple H's ass all of 2000. Yeah, he really was. And they were going back and forth. And I remember 1998. Dwayne Johnson, when he was the Nation, he overtook Farouk. Do you remember that, Vince? Oh God, the Nation of Domination.
I totally remember that.
We are the Nation of Domination. Oh God, and then let's not forget about Corporate Rock. Remember Corporate Rock?
Oh yeah, that's when he won the title.
Oh my God, and he joined the corporation. That was great. And he had that whole thing with Mankind. Listen, I gotta be honest. Oh, I felt so bad for Mick. He really beat the hell out of Mick Foley with that chair. What, he hit him 13 times?
Too many times.
Oh God, and his family was in the front row. His kids had to watch him. I think The Rock went too far. If I was around, The Rock, I would have gave him a spanking. In more ways than one, because much like you, Vince, I think The Rock's pretty handsome.
Yeah, well, I am flattered to be somewhere in that same comparison, although I think The Rock's probably a little higher on that list, but thank you, Whoopi.
No, I mean, listen, God, I say this every episode, but you're really the guiding force behind this whole show. God.
No, that's not true. Oh,
listen, if I had to choose between chocolate and some vanilla, I'm going vanilla all the way.
All right. That's that. Ted Danson got into your blood veins again.
Oh, God, he really has. And so have you, Vince, because I have to say, much like my theme song that you guys made for me, you're all the way live.
Yeah. Glad you like it. It's a little throwback to Eddie.
Oh, that was great. I did that movie, Eddie. I met so many great athletes. I met a lot of great athletes filming that movie. And I have to say, it was a great experience. One of my top honors. But what was really great? When I did Burglar. Oh, God. I loved Burglar, and I loved Jumpin' Jack Flash. And I still got to talk about The Color Purple. But we're not talking about that right now. Right now, we're talking about the electrifying one. The People's Champ. Yeah. He was so great. And I could sit there and I could talk all day about him. But I would rather go have a date with Ted Danson.
All right.
Hey, listen, me and Ted, we're back. Kind of keep it to yourself. I know he's married and all, but we got a little bit of a thing going.
Quite as kept. I get it.
He did the whole blackface thing back in the day. That was wrong. I know, but he has a good heart, and that was my idea. Yeah, it was great. By the way, me and him did a really great movie together. Do you remember Made in America?
Yeah, with Nia Long and Will Smith.
Young Will Smith, yeah. Oh, God. Boy, I really hope his wife isn't banging that August Alsina guy. That would be so weird. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's hard to wrap your head around.
Oh, listen, I love what you're doing, Vince. I love what Laren's doing. Laren's a great guy. You guys seem like you guys are really good friends. This is awesome. I sense like a bromance or something. But I will tell you, only I get to keep you, so tell Laren to keep his hands off you.
All right. Thank you very much. Whoopi Goldberg, everyone.
Oh,
Thank you so much for coming on.
I love the show, and, shout out to Dwayne Johnson. Yeah. And remember, on Blu-ray, I'm sure they've got it, Go see Eddie. Eddie. Go watch my movie, Eddie. Yeah. You'll see everything I did on there. It was really great stuff. Hey, thanks, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Oh, there's Ted over there. I'll see you later. I gotta go. Oh God, you're so handsome, Vince. Oh, all right, Whoopi. Oh, Laren, thanks. Oh God, Whoopi. Thank you. Tell Ted what you guys are doing is wrong. I just want you to know that. That's the man. The man is married. I don't know why she. I don't know why she thinks that's a good idea to be doing that. But
she should bring Ted Danson on the show at some point. I get he's shy. He doesn't probably want to be advertising his affair, but
no, you know, we should, but I don't know if he wants to. But I'll tell you what, Whoopi Goldberg is a gem. She is America's grandmother. I love her.
Treasure.
I do. I really do. All right, well, guys, as you know, that was another episode of one of the greatest shows to be created by two guys who are frankly quarantined right now and bored. So with that being said, I guess we should head to the outro now, right? I mean, there's nothing. Whoopi got to say what she had to say. We had to say what we had to say. There's really nothing left else to say. You know, hey, listen, guys, for you guys that do view these episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Popcorn and Beer. Search us on YouTube. We'll be posting the links. Also, if you can, you know, shoot a comment. Whenever me and Vince post these things, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want us to talk about, right? We should give the public some leeway to discuss what they want us to talk about, you know. And Vince, you know, he's got a lot to talk about. And in the near future, we're going to be having an episode with he's no longer with us. Michael Jackson, your favorite person. You said you wanted, you know, we got to do that. We definitely got to do that.
Absolutely. That might be a 5-hour episode. I have to trim that down a bit.
Yeah, I'm nervous about that because when I brought that up, you were like, "Oh God, we're going to be talking for 3 days," and I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
Well.
And I also want you to get in a word edgewise. I don't want to be talking the entire time.
I will talk about 1 or 2 songs and then just let you rant, you know. But we definitely got to get it in about Michael. Rest in peace. All right. With that being said, kids, I want to welcome you guys and send you guys off. And much like we do at this time, like we always do at this time, I am your host with the most, the man with the plan, and I don't give a damn. Okay, I do give a damn about you guys because we need you, so please watch the show. I am LAREN Maxstar Moore.
And I am riding his coattails, Vince Eustace.
Oh, and what a coattail to ride. And of course, you guys, you have reached the very 3rd episode of a great show. Please continue to tune in. And that is Popcorn
and Booze.
And with that being said, bye-bye. Gotta go. Love ya. Gotta go. Love ya. Bye-bye. Bye.